and all that. And I also love, this is secondary stuff, but I love the fact that you said to him, you're not strong enough yet. You're not strong enough yet.
He did it for 3-4 years.
Yeah, right?
I let him compete in the big competition anyway. And then he beat everybody.
Yeah, but I love that you kept him on leash in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, you held back and you go, okay, I got somebody here that could be something.
Yeah.
When did you know?
Well, I knew right away that he had a lot of talent because it was very similar. I thought that he had very similar to me at the same age. So I was in college playing football and stuff like that, but I was also a bodybuilder, competed in bodybuilding at the time and lifted heavy weights, and I could tell he could do things that most guys are a little stiff to do things. You know, he could jump and he could run and all those things, and you know. So I saw him really when I first met him, or at least he started training with me for a while. That somebody that was very similar to what I was at the time. It didn't mean that it mean anything, you know, because it's all in your mind whether you can't make anywhere. You know that. You've been around the almost as long as me.
Yeah, but that leads me to something that's really truly what we've been talking about a lot. There's not a lot of us. And what I mean by not a lot of us is not a lot of us guys that were from the 80s or late 70s that are still doing it and still moving and grooving and still healthy.
Yeah.
What is it, if you can tell me, in a breakdown of what did you do that's possibly different? Get rid of genetics and all that kind of stuff, but what did you do that you think nutrition-wise or health-wise or training-wise that set you up for longevity relative to, because you've been a metahuman, a mutant your whole life, you know? You really have. And it doesn't matter, and I hate saying age, but you know, you've been doing it your whole freaking life. You're stronger now than guys that are 20 years old that think they're really badass.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing is that I've always been consistent with my training and so forth. There was a short period of time where I kind of got off the wagon, so to speak, and played more tennis and skied and did all that stuff more than I did lifting. But other than that, I've been very consistent.
Can you put in like Agassi or somebody right now, just tennis, and they show his physique?
Yeah. But anyway, I started early. I always, I came out of the 60s, where when we were thinking about bodybuilding and strength sport, we were thinking about health. It was health and fitness. It wasn't drugs and fitness. So I came out of there where you had to eat right. You focused on being strong. Even as a bodybuilder, you had to be strong.
And that was the thing about you too, is you didn't just do one aspect. You did both. You were athletic, which I always say is number one. Then you also bodybuilt and you did power. So
yeah, I had kind of a strange start. You know, I started when I started lifting. Of course, it was like be like Tarzan, right? I was like 10 years old. I started lifting weights and finding weights and doing it. But as along the way, I was a ski jumper. And ski jumping was a little different back then, but anyway, the Norwegians were really, really good at it. This in the early 60s, early mid 60s, and everybody, you know, they were lifting weights, and they had fantastic training programs. And I was able to get my hands on all the courses that they used for the elite ski jumpers, because I was just a kid.
How old were you at this time?
This you're talking about 12 years old.
Okay.
But I was training like the elite guys, lifting weights and doing trampolines, doing slack lines, doing all kinds of things like stuff like that. But more than anything else, and what they taught me was really that I was lifting weights. Even when I got into a regular gym with other bodybuilders and stuff, I had already had this idea that I had to be functional. So I always had what I have done most of my life is like functional bodybuilding. In other words, when I would do some, overhead lifts. I was never a huge presser, but I could, you power jerk. You use your body to do things. So I always tried to be functional, even when I was just purely doing bodybuilding.
Okay, so that takes us back to my beliefs, and the only reason I got Gladiators at 20, TV show Battle Dome, where I got to break guys' legs at 30, and then do it again even at my 40s. Gladiators again, is because of the athletics.
Yep.
Because I approached bodybuilding and powerlifting as first athletic, then will lifting this way help me in my athletics.
Yeah.
And so something both of us did is we did the one thing that society doesn't do anymore. We trained at 12.
Yeah.
We trained it before that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you were already training as like an
Yeah.
elite at 12. And then I was training and I got lucky. Again, you were around elite people at that time. I was
No,
around,
I actually wasn't.
You just
I was
you
just
just,
reading.
You just
And,
reading it.
Yeah. I never
You
saw
read
it.
it?
Nobody in my hometown had even seen a weight. I was an oddball in the entire town. There was no
love
weights.
that.
I did everything on my own. Till I was 16, I never seen anybody else lift weight other than people that came to try it out with me. And others in is all just magazines.
So wait a
and
minute, you were
books
an
and-
odd
Totally
cat.
Yeah, totally oddball.
You're over there and you're doing this and nobody lifts and stuff. What kept you? What was it that made you continue to do this? What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. I wanted to come to America. One of the things. So.
And did you think
because I thought
that was going to get you there?
Oh, I thought that everybody had like weights and there was some fantastic gyms, and when I finally came, and by that time I was working on the really good gyms, and we had started a club in Norway. This is 1967. We started a club that's still existing. It's called KK67, Kraftsport 67, and that club we had all kinds of weights, platforms, benches. Most of our well, no selectors equipment, of course, back then, but we had pulleys and stuff like that. But it was all homemade
That's a
stuff,
lot
but it
of
was
stuff
good.
back then,
But the
didn't
bars were really good.
Yeah.
When I come to America, I could barely. I had,
Oh,
when
my
the
gosh.
first I was here as in high school, as a high school student, I was a bodybuilder. They had hardly any weights at all, so they let me go and study hour to go to Syracuse University, go and train there.
Good school.
So I worked out there, but even the college gyms back then
Back
were
then were
nothing
nothing,
like the
nothing.
other. And I mean nothing.
And
I mean,
just
they're
all
talking about-
gyms weren't.
Yeah,
back then,
there was no
yeah,
gyms.
Yeah,
There was no
yeah.
good gyms.
You guys think you have it bad now?
Yeah,
but
it was
back then.
You know,
it
there was in Venice Beach. That was the only place in the country that had good gyms.
right? Oh my gosh! I think the similarities in the mindset for you and me as youngsters, it's crazy because I'm still trying to. You know, I talked to Robbie Robinson, who's 76 now, and others. That
Robbie's still at it, right?
Still at it, still doing it, still doing good, still doing good. But it's a different breed we are.
Yeah.
It's a different breed that we didn't need somebody else to motivate us. We bleed it. It's
Yeah.
that Norwegian, that Viking mentality. It's the Scottish heritage. It's we love this stuff and we love that battle. Is there a voice in your head or anything like that that gets you up and gets you moving to the gym to train? What is it?
It always helps, obviously, to have some competition stuff. So I try all the different things. So it does help to have competition, and I think that's important. But for 20 years of my life, I didn't compete at all. You know, for like from mid-20s to mid-40s, I didn't compete. I just trained. And then I decided I was going to try out powerlifting again, and started it in mid-40s. And then it turned into Strongman, and I said, oh my God, where was this when I was 25? I could really kick ass.
Why
because I
didn't
was
you
a high,
compete during
you know,
that
and
time?
when I came out of
Yeah.
college, you know, in college I high jumped, ran 100, shot put, discus.
Go,
At the same time, at the same time as I tried to get my bodybuilding workout in and compete in AAU competition during college.
AAU. We just had to talk about AAU.
Yeah, back
oh
in
my
the day.
gosh,
Back in the days, that was the only thing, of course. So I competed in AAU South Atlantic, AAU Mr. Maryland, and had some big trophies.
How tall are you?
I'm about 6'3" now. I think probably when I was like 20, when I first came, when I was a best of bodybuilder, I was probably only like 6'2", and I grew up to like almost 6'4" before I finished
We're
college.
not standing up because I think I'm about 6'3", but he's like a foot taller than me.
I don't think I would like to say I'm 6'4" because that's what it was. I came out of college, at 6'4", but I don't think I am.
Well, I know that you are not just somebody that lifts. You're not somebody that just coaches. You've lived your lifestyle this way, but you also understand how important, what you said earlier, it was health and fitness back in our day. And you talk about that. You know a lot about nutrition and what works and supplementation and things that help. Is that something that's getting misled nowadays? And you said you read as a youngster. Is there too much information?
Well, this is too much crap information today.
But that's
You know, I read all the mags and got my hands on them, but I think there were more legitimate information back then than there are now. But there are, of course, easy to find information now, except for this, how do you comb through all that information and get the right stuff? That's why, you know, like, you know, a good friend of ours, Neil,
Neil
my
Spruce.
partner, you know, I've been working with him for like, what would it be now? It'd be 35 years, right? Yeah, since the mid-80s. Since the mid-80s.
I started working with him in 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think it was like in the mid-late 80s and all the way till now, you know.
And he's a
then you get
genius
later,
when it
yeah,
comes to
genius
that
when it
stuff.
comes to this. So you know, even though I've studied and have degrees in exercise science and so forth like that, I'm following his information because he really studied his stuff. And when he says
and
what it is,
he's
it's
not
good
an
stuff.
educated study in the sense relative to self-study.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about Neil Spruce before, and I just talked about it now that he took care of mine and Flex Wheeler's nutrition in 1990. He wouldn't work with people because he was running the company,
Right.
so he wouldn't work with people. But then we'd come up there and he'd be like, "Okay, I'll work with you two guys." But he took it to a new level. And so go back to what you said about everybody can write an article now.
Yeah.
And back in our day, if you wrote an article, you had to have some kind of facts to back that up.
Yeah.
This person, here it is, here's the literature, here's the study they did over at this university, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Today, Joe Blow can write an article and say, hey, protein's bad for you.
Yeah, the misinformation is, you know, the fake news of nutrition is huge. It's huge out there.
So
Unfortunately, you know, things haven't changed that much. We have learned a few more things over the years, but the basic things are still there. You gotta have the protein, you gotta have fats, you gotta have carbohydrates, and then you had to have all the stuff supporting it. And because we don't eat that great of a diet, I've always been a believer in supplements. Yeah, I've always taken multivitamins and all other things surrounding it. So you know, so.
What I love that you do that, because I know how Neil believes in nutrition and supplementation. And we have this core that was correct at a time, and a lot of these guys is why Robbie Robinson still does it, and why a lot of these old timers still look incredible today, where the new age people are dying at 40. I just had a friend die at 48 years old from abusive stuff, and it's like, we don't want it to be a chemical thing. And I know there's chemicals in the industry and stuff, but there's a way that you can be a monster for a lifetime and do it in a great, safe way.
Yeah, you definitely could do this, and of course, I think the main thing is that you're not even 50 yet, are you?
I'm 150.
150.
What are you talking about? Dude, I'm a vampire. Why do you think I'm with a woman from Romania? I had to go with a vampire. But yeah, no, I'm 52.
52, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, the thing is that as you get older, you can still build muscle.
Oh, no. The internet says you can't.
Yeah, but you can still build muscle. They've actually proven they can do it even at the 90s, that you can build muscle. The problem with all of us, and it goes for everybody, is motivation. Motivation, being able to go and do it. You know, why does people get fat, and why did they get, you know, starting at 40, getting really fat and
40?
apart? Yeah, 30.
Oh, 30, yeah.
30 even, but
I got a bad back and bad knees.
Yeah,
How
I
old are
can't do
you?
it.
25.
Yeah, I can't
What
do it.
the?
Yeah, that's basically what happened. But why do they get so bad? Well, they start getting tired. Oh, I want to sit all the time. I don't want to go. You know, the whole idea is you got to move all the time. Otherwise,
Well, we didn't
you're
have
gonna do
chairs
it.
back in our day.
No, that's true.
We had to walk everywhere uphill, barefoot, both ways to school.
Well, I actually skied to school.
You skied to school.
I did. I really did.
I came from Washington, that's kinda nice.
We got stars for, you know, like in our little grade book in grade school for each school.
wanna grow
Instead
up
of
with
taking
that.
a bus, we had buses and very nice buses. But if you walk to school or ski to school, you got extra points.
And you guys would want to do it.
Yeah, of course.
See, I love that.
Nobody
I love
went to the
that.
bus. None of the,
I think you nailed a couple things that kids can't talk about because they haven't been in the trenches as long as we have, and that is the fact that if you can, how do you say this in a nice way, stop being a snowflake and realize you can continue to build muscle, you can continuously get better, and you didn't start competing, like you said, in your mid-20s to mid-40s, and then you started going in and started just crushing. you don't have to start this when you're 20. You can start at your 30, you can start at 40, and you can start getting healthier. You can be healthy for a long period of time if you listen to the right people.
Yeah, and be consistent. I think it is the number one thing. You got to go in the gym. You got to do it. You got to do your exercise. Go and do it consistently. That's the main thing. And then have a healthy diet, and try to keep in a healthy body weight. I think that's important too.
You're intelligent enough to talk about this. I always talk about there's a healthy way to eat and then the right way to eat. So a healthy way to eat is the guy or girl has their vegetables and a little bit of carbohydrates in today's society, whatever a little means, stick of gum, and then they have their protein and stuff. And that's a healthy way to eat. That may not be the right way to eat. And what I mean by that is, are you taking enough protein to not just build the muscle, but to recover? Are you taking enough carbohydrates so you don't get your body carb sensitive by running away from all the time, and get your body using that as energy? And put in some healthy fats, and then have your supplementation next to it, and then train smart, not like here's something about you. I know for a fact that you believe in training smart up to a show, but it's not 100% every single workout.
Right.
And so I don't know if society realizes that there's a difference between eating healthy and eating right.
Yeah. No, I mean, basically when you're lifting weights or trying to improve, you have to have more protein than you're generally recommended. And you also need fats. That's the other thing. You can't go without fats. I mean, good fats is good. I mean, like I'm here now and I had breakfast, what time is it now?
It is bedtime for me. I think it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, I had breakfast at 9 o'clock. I'm not hungry. I have a good, solid breakfast.
What'd you eat for breakfast?
My breakfast is almost the same every day unless I go out somewhere. It's an oatmeal. And I make my oatmeal with half and half.
Oh boy, Mo, take notes.
Half and half. The mixed nuts from Costco. Put a bunch of that on there. Almost as much nuts as this is oatmeal. But I love nuts.
The man loves nuts.
And then the berries. I mean, I cook it like that, and then I put berries on afterwards, fresh berries on top. And maybe banana, depending on how much berries I have.
Now, are you getting enough protein with that meal, with just that?
Yeah, I think for me it's enough. Yeah.
It's enough for you.
Yeah.
So you figured out
what's you have the half and half, which is still have the high protein.
Yep.
The oatmeal and nuts. There's a lot of good fats in it. So it's like, you don't get hungry right away. It's feeling good. It's not full. I could go and work out right afterwards if I wanted to. It's not like you stuff yourself. Right. It's not a huge meal.
I love it. That's about, I would guess, maybe right in the range of about 450 calories. A cup of oatmeal with the extra stuff, maybe 450, maybe 500 to the most.
Because the nuts are
a little high there.
It's probably more than this. There's probably like 3 servings of them nuts.
But it's you're still doing it. You still have your plan. And the one thing that you're all gonna miss is he says he has the same breakfast all the time. And I think longevity-wise, are you on a nutrition plan that you can consistently do is a big thing that people bypass. I've been off my diet this week. Why? Well, because I couldn't fix my meal. Make the plan around how busy you are, or set up to win when you're traveling, when you're on set, or you're at the office all day. Can you eat your meals?
Same thing with workouts. You gotta have your workouts around your lifestyle. You can't start saying, "Oh, I'm gonna work out
It's gotta be around my marriage, my kids, my job."
You have to work it in, and you have to fit in, and then you fit the diet into the same thing. And I've done something strange for my lunch actually. All the time I left Norway when I was about 20 years old to go to college, and in Norway you eat bread a lot of times, and I have started having sandwiches for lunch. I make them I do open face sandwiches.
I'm dieting. Sounds really good.
I do some really hot, heavy duty bread. I put butter, and I use real butter with olive oil that's mixed so it actually spreads. And then I use avocado, cheese, and then meat. So it's a really heavy duty bread. Yeah, it is a meal. 2 sandwiches, even though it's
You going? You don't want to hear this? I'm taking the recipes.
Even if it's it doesn't look like much, because but it's those two sandwiches. It's good, and a glass of milk.
But you're not 25.
Yeah.
Well, no. But again, I go back to these social media experts say that that's bad.
Well.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you guys are kind of getting this from what we've been talking about. That it's. I always say too, don't run away from foods that you're going to probably have. I love bread. I love it. I won't run away from it. I won't teach my body to function differently. I won't teach my body to train at 100 because I can't maintain it. I can't eat low carb all the time and be sliced. My body will shut down.
That's true. I mean, like when I was talking about bread, I mean that's probably the only bread I have during the day. That's two slices basically.
But to them, it freaks them out.
Yeah.
To them, it freaks. No pasta, no breads. I cut that. Now I'm going to get in shape because I stopped eating bread. Oh boy. Okay. That's what's going to happen.
I'm telling you, when I growing up and really growing in my teenage years, my diet was
perfect too. Puberty.
And I was drinking a ton of milk.
Yep.
Whole milk, preferably.
This will be verbatim what I do.
And then
the bread,
sandwiches, and then a lot of potatoes, together with either meat or fish or stuff like that, and then of course protein drinks, which I don't do anymore because I am so tired of it. I did it for so long.
He has the right to be tired. He's done it for a long time.
I do not need it anymore because now I'm just trying to eat by the right amount. Because I want to stay about this size or less if I can.
You just want to stay a monster your whole life. Okay. You guys, I'm right now 265 and in pretty good shape, and he's twice my size. So just to give you an idea on how big he is, one of the things I love is that you and I hit the eating properly. So I think everybody that's going to watch this is going to be like, oh, well, this is not relative to my kids in puberty. This is 100% relative. And it's more important that you listen to him and me talk about your puberty and your kids and all you youngsters, because this is when we put our size on.
Yeah. That's when you grow height and everything. I mean, if you
time it right.
I'm at my highest. I was nearly 6'4".
Okay.
I'm about 6'3" now, but at 100 years old, that's okay.
What age did
anybody in my family? We have a huge family. I mean, I have 3 brothers, but I had uncles and aunts and stuff like that. My mother had like 15 brothers and sisters, stuff like that. There's nobody over like 5'8".
Really?
Yeah, my father was like 5'8". My mother was like
so
5'4". 5'4".
Wow.
My youngest brother was at his highest probably like 5'7". My oldest brother was probably like 5'10", and my second brother,
younger or older?
The older one was like 5'10", and then my brother that came after me, the third one in the row, was about maybe 5'11".
And you out?
And like 6'3", 6'4". And in the entire extended family, I see only one person that is like significantly over 6 foot tall. So I know that I did some right things.
Did you have a lot of eggs as a kid?
We had eggs, but I don't know. I can't say they had a lot. But yeah, we had it. We mixed it, like making with potatoes and stuff like that. And mixed
I only wonder because I know that the yolk and all that has to do with a lot of studies. They're finding out now on height for kids that are at that age, for the bones to really reach their full potential. And something you did is you changed your DNA by how you were eating during that puberty.
Yeah, because I eat different from everybody else in the family. I mean, this is not what they're. First of all, I ate a lot and I drank a lot of milk, I did take protein supplements even in my teens. So I started as soon as I could figure out how to get it shipped to my hometown. I started taking milk protein typically.
Did you do the big granulars and what else? They had Bull's balls and all those kind of things back then.
Yeah, like
not joking,
the
guys.
Chicken liver.
Chicken liver, yes.
Of course, I did a lot of that. But more lately, when I was more competing in bodybuilding, we did a lot of chicken liver. They had, of course, desiccated liver was the pills you could buy and stuff like that back then.
They smelled bad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We had some funny stuff back those days.
Yeah, like in the late 60s, early 70s, Rio Blair, you remember that name? He had a protein and stuff like that. He had some very special egg milk protein. Of course, that was here in the US, I was in Norway, but But he recommended mixing it with, he was a high fat diet type of thing, kind of like, and I remember probably when I was best when I won the Mr. Norway and right before I came back here to go to college, my protein drinks, because I worked in a hotel, small like a boutique type hotel, and I had a room there, in the hotel, but they had like a staff room that I lived there when I was going to school, and I was working nights, and I had full use of the kitchen. So all my protein drinks were made with whipping cream. So I had, I used the protein we had available in Norway. It wasn't Rio Blair, but it was milk protein mixed in half and half. Not half and half.
But it was high calorie.
No, totally high calorie. And
how old were you at that time?
About 1920, 19 to 20 years old.
19, 20 years old. So it was one thing, because I had the Weider weight gainer, and I remember those things. And before that, it was high calorie, and we ate high calorie back then. But you're growing like such a weight, and we were training like animals.
Yeah.
Because if I could say to my young self, I'd say, hey, back down the training a little bit. I'd say you probably would have got more muscularity if I backed it down a little bit. But we would eat like horses like this, and these kids don't eat that way now. They try to
ice cream.
I did.
I used to
peanut
go
butter jam sandwiches between each class is what I did.
I used to go to the movies, and I'd buy like a pint or maybe even like 2 pints, like a quart of ice cream, and a whole ball of like a bundle of bananas, and then you sit there and eat that.
You're making me so hungry today. Oh my gosh!
I still like ice cream, but I don't eat it that often. But I love ice cream.
I think, we'll wrap it up here, but this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come up, we're gonna see your facility and get some strongman training in. Show these guys out there in the world what the old timers do, and how we stay healthy, and then also just explain to them on this next video. I want to explain to them about connective tissue and bone density, because this is stuff that, again, we go back and believe in relative to the guy that just gets muscles. We believe in that actual man strength. So I'll let you go, man. Thanks for doing this, and it was great seeing you. Great seeing you. I've been talking about you forever, and he's heard me talk about you, and then we've all had on our podcasts and stuff. We've had people that talk about you because you're such a legend. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
6'4". You're 6'4".
Okay,
You're 6'4".
I like you. I've reported a 6'4".